Welcome to the Pro Crastinators podcast. We're back. I'm back. I've been away for 2 weeks. I know y'all missed me, but that's okay. We're here
missed
again.
My bar mitzvah.
Yeah. You guys didn't show up either. I'm really upset. I invited all of you and everything. My name is Tom Oliver, and we got a whole brigand of disgusting people with us today, starting with the man himself, Digibro.
I'm gross.
Indeed, we have the hypocrite give and take himself.
I thought you said bar mitzvah, and that's why I didn't come.
Oh, well, you were right, actually. I fooled everyone. It was a very awkward time for all. Nate is here.
Every side of the dreidel is represented here.
Indeed they are. And Ben Saint.
Yo, I'm back from Anthro, New England, baby.
Yes.
I
got pictures, I got proof. It's true.
Hell yeah. I saw tweets from that all weekend, and I was sad that I couldn't go with my my lowers, but my brothers regardless.
I'll be interested to hear. I mean, if you want to tell us about it, I'm very curious.
Did you get in on any sick furry orgies, dog?
Orgies.
That's the most important question.
I'm afraid I didn't get to weasel a single person.
Oh, what the fuck?
Everything
I know is a lie.
Actually, most of my... I was walking around with Kazee in her Colby Jack suit, which is baller, by the way.
I haven't seen it.
I've seen it.
It's a well-made unit.
I guess does someone want to post a picture?
Please
it's on her timeline.
I'll find one.
Okay.
I'll find one.
But most of my experience was like weird drama, like friend drama of like some people. Like we went to like one of their friends' hotel room for a bit, like for everyone to get suited up. And then
he didn't confess he was maybe thinking of voting Republican in the presidential. He wouldn't do that, right? I mean, he wouldn't tank his whole career doing something like that. Now, I hope.
I hope he would have more sense than something like that.
Don't we all?
But
by the way, there's the image you can see in the show notes.
But the point, and then we all left the room and we were going to go to a restaurant to eat, and then we got to the restaurant and suddenly a bunch of these people are like, "We have to go," and they leave, and we're like, "What the fuck was that about?" And then we find out when we get back that like all these people, all these friends of a friends who had their own hotel room, they all got fucking weirded out and like had anxiety attacks because there were too many of us in the room at one time. And then they were like, we don't want to see them anymore. Like they can't be in here anymore. They didn't say anything about it. It was only like later after the fact. They're like, we have to fucking form a coalition against these other people. They're no, they can't be allowed to intrude on our personal space any further.
Fascinating.
And so they were like, all the stuff was stored in. They like gave us the stuff, and we're like, take this. You gotta give it back to the other people. Take this and go. And I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. That was it.
Were you one of the offending intruders, or were you part of the core group?
No, I was not. No, I was just a friend of a friend of a friend.
Okay.
And I don't know, like Kazee and Munchie, like their stuff was in the room. They were just like, here, it's fine. We had like a mutual friend who was like, she wasn't mad at us. She was just like, hey, I'm sorry, you guys. Like, could you just, like these guys are like, these other people, they're having a fucking attack. They're having a fucking episode over here. Here, I'm sorry, just here's your stuff. So we had to take all our stuff. Anyway, we had to leave the convention early. But I got to the convention and I just walked in the front door. And I asked someone, I'm like, hey, where's the con? And he's like, oh, you're going to want to go to a registration. You're going to want a ticket. It's right through there. And I'm like, thanks. Head in exactly the opposite direction. Just walk directly into the main hall with no tag. Find them, sit down, watch the end of the furry dance competition. No ticket required. Paying for things is for losers.
Amazing.
Well done.
I've always wanted to do that. Like every year... I mean, aside from the fact that a lot of the cons I go to, I get into for free anyways. But, like, anytime I see a con where it's, like, the security's not that tight, I'm just like, am I a rube? Like, should I have paid for this?
For example,
they might have checked my tag, not to go in at all, but to go into the hall where the dance competition was.
That's what I was going to say.
They probably would have checked
BronyCon,
it if I'd gone in at the beginning, but like it was almost ending anyway. So I think they just didn't care anymore. They didn't even
at BronyCon, the only time you were checked is if you went into like the dealer's hall or I think like any of the main events. Like, you could 100% wander around and get 90% of the experience.
It's been that way at a few of the smaller cons I've been to, and particularly at BronyCon, I remember it being like what the fuck? Like, there is no reason anyone should have paid for this convention. Like, the only time they check you is if you go into the main events hall, which none of us did. So,
I don't even think is that even frowned upon to do? I feel like it's almost supposed to be that way to attract looky-loos to, I don't know, make the event seem more packed.
Like Anime New England is like that too. Most conventions I go to, getting into the convention grounds is not hard and does not cost money. They only check your tag for events and for panels and for the vendors hall and stuff.
So for
like
any of you thrifty would-be con-goers, just consider not buying a ticket, having the money in case things go down, and just trying to get it.
Works, because there are plenty of cons that do check you at the entrance.
If you're gonna do your research.
That's fair.
I went right into the main event. I watched the last 3 dancers, including the one who ended up winning. So I guess I've seen the best dancing that Anthem New England has to offer. I enjoyed the finest things in life.
What does a fursuit dance look like?
It's pretty tame, honestly, because there's not
tame like an animal.
I mean, I think they can't get too extreme with it
because they'll fucking pass out.
Because their suit will fucking explode. Yeah.
Right. I wasn't sure if you meant can't get too extreme, like they can't do Jabberwocky fucking dance maneuvers, or is it a raunchy dance? Like, is it a pole dance?
No, nothing. And there was nothing raunchy about it. It was just there wasn't even any cool breakdance spins. It was just I don't know. It was just
being in a fursuit would make breakdancing easy on your back at least.
Yeah,
you'd just be able to slide around, people kick you.
Your friction would be so low, you could spin on the ground so much.
Anybody? I mean, I've heard of the advanced nanotech water cooling fursuits that they're rolling out. They're really pioneering the battle armor technology via the fursuit community, and I'm looking forward to it. Keep it up, guys.
Incidentally, Kazee's fursuit looks like it looks like Barney the dinosaur got fused with Super Eye Patch Wolf's avatar.
Oh.
I've been seeing her make it for months. Every time she would come over to my house, she would have a paw, and she'd be I was sewing it on the bus. Old women commented on it.
This is
I've seen it come together piece by piece.
Though. This is actually pro.
Legit though. What
it is impressive.
Is it supposed to be what animal is?
It is a fur dragon.
Okay. So it is just a dragon with a wolf's head and paws, basically, right?
It's a dragon.
It's a furry.
It's a furry.
It does have kind of a somewhat canine snout there. Yeah. But it's a dragon with paws and fur.
It's pretty dope.
That's it.
Congrats to all involved.
His name is Colby
Looks
Jack.
like a triumph. Seems like a triumph.
I think she's gonna start selling them. I think she's gonna start doing this for money.
Damn.
I mean, it looks like it's quality work.
I mean, I think this suit is probably between 500 plus hours work. So
oh my god.
Yeah.
Remember what is it? Violent J's daughter received a shitty cosplay costume from some shitty seller. Next time, look up Kazee. Kazee will do right by you. She'll hook you up.
Yes. So
anything
that was
else
my
go on there?
Anything else? I didn't spend that. I was supposed to go. Okay, this segues into. I was supposed to go to it at noon. I was supposed to get there in the middle of the day, but I overslept. I slept through my alarm because the previous night I had heard such disturbing news that I could not get to sleep, and I was not able to sleep, and I slept through my alarm because of it. I learned that due to some kind of clerical error or something, I'm not going to be able to vote in the fucking primaries on Super Tuesday. I fucking registered. I fucking registered before the deadline. I went on the 31st. I checked the box. I should be registered. I'm calling the registrar tomorrow. They're going to get a piece of my mind. This is bullshit. This is voter suppression. This is not democracy. I'm white. I'm supposed to be able to vote in these things, God damn it.
Did you try turning it off and on again? maybe.
Yeah, you gotta turn the DNC off and on again. It'll work.
Sir, is it plugged in? Is your vote plugged in?
I don't know. Whatever. I'm gonna call the registrar.
That's fucked up, man. That's
it
not
is
cool.
I did everything right. But it's still.
I would have assumed you would do everything wrong, but no. But I guess
I thought so too. No, when I saw it, I checked my status, and it's like not registered. I'm like, oh god, I fucked up. I let it go by. I wasn't paying attention. I missed the deadline. But then I remembered, no, I was at the RMV weeks ago, and I filled out the form. I should be registered. I registered. What is this? What am I looking at? I did not fuck up.
Is there any hope of remedying this, do you think?
I don't know. I gotta call the registrar, and I have no idea what he will say about it.
What is the RMV?
It's the Massachusetts form of the DMV. It's the Registry of Motor Vehicles as opposed to the Department of Motor Vehicles.
We have a BMV in Ohio. That's the Bureau of Motor Vehicles.
I didn't know all this.
Yeah. We're all over the
We have
spectrum.
a
Everybody has to be
BMV, the
different, I
Building of Motion Vehicle.
So I might be cucked out of voting on Super Tuesday, which makes me very sad, very upset, very frustrated.
Is Super
but it's
Tuesday
okay.
this Tuesday?
It is a week from this Tuesday.
Okay.
It's March 3rd. So it'll be the next Tuesday after you, the listener, are hearing this.
Yeah,
but it's okay. But it's okay because Bernie fucking blew out Nevada. Bernie obliterated Nevada.
He did.
That Snake Warren, not even viable. Not even a single fucking delegate. Pete Buttigieg scrabbles with his little rat hands just barely over the precipice of viability. He'll probably get like 1.5 delegates. Biden will get a handful. He came in, but Bernie fucking blew it out and got almost half. He almost got more than like everyone else combined.
Ben, did you watch Pete's speech he did after Bernie won Nevada?
I didn't watch the speech, but I saw the tweet.
Pretty funny. He was just like, he's like, yeah, congratulations to Bernie. I'm glad that we agree on so many things. He did so well. I will now proceed to shit on Bernie and tell you how bad he is for the next 20 minutes. And
that's the game.
Everyone is just, Pete and Warren, they're all just like, oh, Bernie's so mean. He yells so much though. Like, ugh. What a nasty man.
So, I wouldn't hang that man in my
jiggles
kitchen.
At me, and I find it off-putting.
It's a big cope.
It is a big. Did you see Chris Matthews on NBC he compared it to the Nazis. He compared Bernie blowing out Nevada to the Nazis.
The way the Nazis blew out the Jews. Is that
the Nazis conquering France by running over the Maginot Line?
Odd comparison, but okay.
In slightly bad taste, considering Bernie's family was killed in the Holocaust.
Yeah, but that's true of every Ashkenazi Jew. So I mean, what are we gonna do? We're gonna spend all day worried about this.
What are we gonna never compare Jewish people to Nazis? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Once in a while, they build a hell of an Autobahn out there.
There was just a recent struggle tweet about that where a guy was like, he said, it's like the Holocaust, both parties' fault. The Nazis for killing Jews, the Jews for being Jews.
Wait, yeah, who tweeted that? I remember that.
Oh shit!
It seemed like a joke, but then I wasn't sure. Was it like Richard Dawkins or something?
It was somebody who would say that, I believe.
Yeah.
Richard Dawkins isn't woke on the JQ. That can't be right, is it?
Well,
no,
what he is
is
a liberal. And liberals are stupid because liberals. This is what we're seeing. This is what we're seeing with the mainstream media melting down right now. Liberals like fascists more than they like socialists. This is what's they're gonna have to fucking learn to deal with it.
People like fascists more than they like socialists.
People do like order. They do like order.
Well, so yep, they sure do. They love it, and they're going to cry. I'm going to drink their tears. Listen. I know I'm not supposed to say this, but yes, in my heart of hearts, I do want to see heads on spikes. Yes, I am the toxic Bernie bro your parents warned you about. I am one of the bad ones.
That's no secret.
I'm owning it. I'm owning it, okay?
Okay, well, that's good to know.
But they're not all like me, okay? I'm the bad one.
Okay.
It was indeed Richard Dawkins who said Holocaust.
I knew it.
Boboth sides to blame.
This has to be a joke.
Let's
have a little bit of charity here. It has to be.
Is it like a parody
I would think
account?
so, but he's made some pretty fucking... recently he unironically tweeted about how eugenics, you might not like it, but you can't deny it works.
Okay, come on. That was taken way out of context because his point was like, yes, of course you can manipulate the genes of a population if you choose to, but morally, obviously you don't want to. But, you know, you could if you wanted to. Just don't do it. Which is true.
Yes, it's true. But why would you say it like that? Why would you say it works?
I don't know.
There's no, nobody contends that you cannot manipulate a genome through selective breeding. Nobody needed that pointed out to them.
As always, okay, were you in the... None of us were in the fucking conversation he was responding to, and we're just taking the thing and we're being like, what an evil thing I'm reading
right now.
into the
I'm going to look up the context.
There are just so many stupid people on Twitter that you probably would have to spell out something like that if you, like, start talking with all the dregs, you know?
I don't really know anything about Richard Dawkins, other than I've heard his face,
Richard Dawkins,
his name said.
Richard Dawkins
doesn't even believe in God, so
is an irrelevant writer who a couple decades ago was pretty big because he wrote some books about how atheism is kind of cool, actually.
The God Delusion was him.
The God Delusion.
Oh yeah,
yes.
I've heard all of that.
Mm-hmm. He was one of the Four Horsemen with Sam Harris and the other guys. Yeah.
In any case, I mean, the thing you're referring to, Ben, with him talking about eugenics, he does in his follow-up tweet say, I deplore the idea of a eugenic policy. I simply said deploring it doesn't mean it wouldn't work.
Is it a dog whistle, Ben? Does he actually support it? Is this his position?
Work to do what? To eugenicize humanity?
How much more clear can he be?
Obviously it would work. I'm just saying Look, I'm not saying Richard... I didn't say Richard Dawkins made these tweets to unironically promote. It's just a weird thing to say, and here's another. This Jew thing is is even weirder. I don't know. That's
Fair
it.
enough.
That's all I have to say about it. Bernie won Nevada. Dab. It's gonna be okay, America.
Okay.
No, it's not.
You think the DNC is gonna fuck him?
What?
Wait, what's the
you think the DNC is going to fuck
superdelegates, don't they? Don't they still have the power to...
They have superdelegates, but they do not come into the vote until after all the pledged delegates. So if he were to win a majority, or anyone were to win a majority of regular delegates, the superdelegates would not be allowed to vote.
Okay, I see.
Oh, Do you know about like at the last debate, the last question, they asked everyone like, should the person who gets even if there's no majority, should the person who gets the plurality of delegates be made the nominee? And everyone but Bernie said no because they don't believe in democracy and they're shit libs and they have no values.
I did see that.
I see your point. Although, to be fair, if Bernie has a plurality but not a majority, can it really necessarily be said that he, is in fact the winner? Shouldn't they pare things down and decide?
Pare things down to who,
Nate? The 51% has decided that they want him.
Pare things down to who?
To do like that. It's not first past the post, but that voting system where the weakest candidates are limited. Like, democracy isn't just there's one thing. There's one way of doing it specifically, and we know that's real democracy, and every other voting system is bad. There are different ways to do it, including the CGP Grey model of
Nate,
everybody votes if there isn't a majority.
Yes, that's fine and all, but that has no relevance at all to the superdelegates in the convention.
Okay, on the
there is no
question,
alternative vote.
You're correct.
It is. Yeah, the superdelegates just are a secondary block of unpledged voters who just get to vote whoever the fuck they want.
I don't want that. That should go away. I don't know why that exists. That seems wrong. And
you know who else thinks
good.
that's bad and shouldn't exist? Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg, who all said that it was bad and undemocratic until suddenly it was their only chance at the nomination, and now they all support it.
Ben, don't you understand? Once they have power, they will make things good. You just need to trust them. This is what you don't understand, Ben. You have to trust them. They know what's best for you.
Yeah, I do.
They are standing up with a podium. I mean, I'm not standing up with a podium, so better listen.
The immoral acquisition of power becomes moral once you are in power. I love it. It's fantastic. That's my plan too.
You can't argue with it, or you go to the fucking gulag. Anyway, it's all very upsetting. Anyway, the point being that if Bernie doesn't get the majority. It's possible the superdelegates will screw him out of it. They'll come in and they'll be like, we're actually all going to vote for Bloomberg so he gets the nomination instead. Because he paid us to.
I'm ready for the Boomberg.
I'm ready for it to I'm ready to hashtag vote Bloom no matter whom. That's
no matter whom he is. If he changes himself.
Yeah. The delegates are going to vote Bloom no matter whom gets the
So
plurality.
Bernie changes his last name to Bloomberg. He gets all the votes instead.
Ooh, sneaky.
But I don't know. There's a possibility that it might not come to that. Bernie might end up with a majority. We don't know. Field's going to start winnowing. Elizabeth Warren needs to drop out soon. Pete, Klobuchar, even I would say Biden at this. It seems like honestly, like nobody else even has like a chance.
Just
like,
get them all out of here.
Yeah,
just get him out of the country. Leave him out. Just throw him into the ocean.
I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I want the field to narrow down for Bernie to soak up more support, or if I like that the centrist vote is split between all these fucking.
That's
nobodies.
the question, isn't it? That's the X factor.
I'm not sure. Did I mention? I realized that I didn't mention. That before New Hampshire, I was making calls. Did I say that I was making calls for Bernie on the PCP?
You mentioned it at some point. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I was fucking in there. I was in there because I was really worried about New Hampshire, and it turns out I had every right
$1,000 to our next Kickstarter to get a personal Bernie Sanders endorsement phone call from Ben Saint, who will convince you to vote for Bernie.
Yeah, I will. That's what my reward is. I will convince you to vote for Bernie Sanders, no matter what.
We'll be here all day. We'll go over all the facts and logic until
boy, do I have anything else to say about that whole charade? I don't know.
God,
South Carolina's coming up. Biden might win South Carolina, but the gap is narrowing. Bernie might actually be ahead by the time they do the poll. I don't know. Open question. If Biden doesn't win South Carolina, he needs to fucking drop out. Like he is dead in the water if he doesn't win South Carolina. He's probably dead in the water anyway. To be perfectly honest.
Yawn. You bore us, Ben.
Yes,
you bore us collectively.
Fine. All right. Talk about something else. I've said all I have to say.
I'm not following it. I have nothing to add to this. So
it's fine.
Here's the thing.
I'm following it, and I have nothing to add to it.
Fair enough.
I'm really excited for the debate on Tuesday. Join my Discord. Join my Discord where every time there's a debate, we get in the disc. We all get in the Discord and are like, "Oh my god, did you guys watch the debate?"
I only saw a little bit of Bloom getting fucked.
This last debate was unbelievable. It was by far the funnest debate. There's a part where like Pete Buttigieg and Klobuchar are like literally just like screaming at each other, and like the moderator cannot quiet them down. They just keep going. That happened like a couple times.
In those
Klobuchar's barely contained rage is like palpable. It's so uncomfortable.
I guess it makes sense. Considering like that she probably views him as like an upstart guy, and she's like, "How is this fucking guy questioning me?"
It was about a thing in like a recent interview. She was not able to name the president of Mexico. And the interviewer the moderators asked her about it, and she was like.
She's like, "You're right. I hate Mexicans. I don't view them as human beings. You got me. You understand my position."
She's like, it was just a slip of the tongue. And Pete Buttigieg, fucking psychopath, is like, are you? I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe. Like, are you? Like, how can we trust someone who would forget something so important? Blah, 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 blah. And she gets fucking like really defensive. She's like, "I'm sorry, we're not all as perfect as you, Mayor Pete. Are you calling me stupid? Are you saying I'm dumb?" And he basically just goes on and says yes.
I think I speak for a large portion of our audience when I say I couldn't give less of a fuck about anything in the world, possibly. So,
I don't know,
Fair point.
I was fucking on the edge of my seat. I was on the edge.
I was edging
of my seat.
on my seat.
I was edging the whole time. And then at the end, last thing, and then at the end when Bernie just does literal fucking Marxism to Bloomberg, that was when I had the coom. That's when they're like, "Do you deserve to be a billionaire, Bloomberg?" And he's like, "Yes, I worked very hard for it." And Bernie's like, don't you think you got that? Your workers are the ones responsible for that fortune. Don't you think they deserve some of the credit for it? Just literal fucking Marxism, literal class consciousness. Bernie's a hero.
Yeah,
he's my hero.
Bernie's a millionaire though. Why didn't he?
You're such a fucking moron, Nate. Your IQ is fridge temperature level.
Yeah, what's going on with that, Ben?
Yeah. Are you being ironic? I can never tell.
Who knows?
Okay. Yeah, a great point. A great stupid point. Also made by fellow stupid low IQ moron Michael Bloomberg on the debate stage, which is why he's basically out of the running at this point. Good job. Let's move on.
A fellow Bloomer. How exciting for all of us. Finally, we'll get the Bloomer representation, the most oppressed minority in the White House. Looking forward to it.
We need more.
We're all about
we
to
need
bloom.
more voter
When you
suppression.
think about it, who is a bigger minority than billionaires? Just saying.
It's true.
So right.
Just
It's
saying.
true.
So right.
They're guillotines way more often than non-billionaires are. Like the rate is.
You should join the
capita?
guillotine, Ben. When the guillotine when they are rolling out through the
I
streets.
will be the first one. I will be the first one out there. And I'll probably be the first one that they turn on.
I've had enough of this crap.
Yes.
I'm
I said let's move
stamping
on,
in,
so
and
somebody else
here
talk about
I am
something.
talking
Okay.
about the artistic creative process because, lol, I'm having art problems, artist boy problems, anxiety about things I do, always being not good enough, no matter what it is. Like,
Tell me about it, bro.
you can take
Sounds like our democratic process.
you can take a fucking, any multitude of like potential reasons, like, I felt bad about this because I didn't use a reference and you're supposed to do that, or I did use a reference and I felt like I was cheating, or I used something and it didn't work out the way I wanted. Like any potential reason for upset with the art, and the core reason is always the same, and it's just that I'm afraid of death, and everything that I'm doing with like regards to art, when I'm trying to get good, when I'm trying to improve the quality of what I can draw, what I can create, what's going through my head is this feeling of every moment I do something, it has to be working towards being good because I only have a limited amount of time on this earth and I'm going to die if I don't do it fast enough. I need to be efficient. I need to be, making the most of the time I have. And as that's going through my head and I'm drawing something and it's not perfect, I'm thinking, okay, like, what could I be doing wrong? And I'm thinking of all the tutorials that I didn't fully watch, or the things I could have been doing, like the techniques that people have told me about and I've kind of forgotten how to do. And I'm like, oh shit, my knowledge banks are too low. I don't have the capability to be efficient. It's a lost cause. I'm a lost cause. This drawing, which admittedly is fine, is terrible, and I've wasted my life, and I'm a worst person ever. No. And it's
interesting.
It's all down to the whole death thing, and I'm trying to figure out how to not be scared of death. That's my goal.
I'll tell you.
Tell me if you figure it out.
I can help to some degree because you just got to think about the fact that death will come suddenly, and there's no way to predict it.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better. Thank you.
Well, you can't.
Well, there's no point we're in.
Right. That's kind of the way I look at it. It's like I don't see much point in considering it, because it's like, well, I know that if it happens, it's going to happen suddenly, or it'll be obvious long before it happens.
I fear death a lot, but I fear disability significantly more. That's my. Well,
it's not literally just about death. It's that death is the cause of my artistic anxiety. Like the reason I hate myself through my art is because I'm scared that I'm not getting fast enough, good enough. I
think like for me, it's kind of like I understand that fear in the sense of like, oh, I don't want to, what if I don't get good enough before I die? But it's like you won't get good enough before you die. It's just not going to happen. Like you'll never, because there's no ceiling on it. You'll always want to get better. Like at no point will you look at your stuff and be like, okay, now I can die happy.
True. I do feel like though there are like very obvious milestones, and I am currently in the mediocre artist point where I can't easily sketch something that looks okay. I need to spend a long time on anything.
I mean, like
all artists spend a long time.
I know that, but like, you see how like someone who has a very good grasp of drawing can sketch a little cartoon character, a little doodle, and it can be like clearly, if you put line art on that would be a great drawing. And they didn't think about it too much. It's sort of on autopilot. I maybe wouldn't realize when I hit that point, which is the reason like you would always be aiming higher and higher until you're dead. But I know of certain things that I need to improve about my drawing. And once I feel like I've conquered them, or like I can conquer them in individual drawings without tearing my hair out, I will know that I've gotten to a good point.
I think it's a good idea to just, obviously practicing all the time.
Ooh.
But like specifically just like doing as much different stuff as possible, because I feel like the best way to get through to make breakthroughs in any kind of art is to stop trying to force the thing that you're trying to do and just go do something else and come back later and see if you've figured it out by then, because like you never know where the answer that's gonna unblock your understanding might come from. It's like maybe you're like, oh, why can't I get these colors right, and then you go and draw a bunch of other shit, and then while you're working on something else, you're like, oh, this color, this is the one I needed for that other drawing I was trying to do, just like maybe it's just a good idea to if you hit something you're not sure how to fix this problem you have, just go do something else.
Here's the thing. I'm aware of like certain practices and tutorials, things I can go to for like information on how to do specific things. It's not a specific thing necessarily that I'm having trouble figuring out what it is. It's more of a getting past that initial like death spiral way of thinking. As soon as you start a drawing, you open up the program, you're looking at it, and you draw the first little bit, and you're like, oh no, this isn't going to work. And that stops you.
I don't let that happen to me. I try to just power through the whole thing as fast as possible.
Sometimes I'm not thinking, and that's the thing that always seems to work, is that when I'm not thinking about getting better, I draw and therefore get better. Right. And I really want to know how to stop thinking. I need some sort of way to make myself an idiot while I do this stuff. I was thinking, let's just drink profusely, but I'm not sure that's a really good idea.
That doesn't seem like the best solution, but
just
maybe.
Get into marijuana. It's worked for me so well.
I mean, it's not legal in the UK, and I really don't want to talk to teenagers.
It's not legal where I am either, but...
Hey, there's a guy I know. This is in no way a solution to your problem, but what it is another example of a guy I'm currently mystified by the insane amount of talent that this person has. Do you guys know who Marc Rebillet is? Or Rebillet?
Nope.
Does it sound familiar to anybody? Okay, Marc Rebillet. I've never actually heard the name pronounced out loud. I've just seen it on like YouTube and stuff. So he's a musician, and what he does is he has made a career. He like quit his job a while back and has gone pro, like doing sets where he will set like in like coffee shops and like restaurants and on stage. He's getting more and more popular these days, where he will set up his keyboard and he will have zero set list and he will go up and he will improv, but he used like loops and samplers and stuff to capture his own voice and to in real time mix like full on songs that he 100% improvs based on like audience submission and stuff. So, okay, here's a link to, in my opinion, the greatest work of art of the 21st century, which is a song called Work That Ass for Daddy.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm already
this song,
prepared.
It's an 8-minute long like jazzy breakdown song. Just built around the concept of big booty black girl. That's it. And he just makes up all the lyrics based on that. And it is an absolute journey to go on. And I've watched this so many times. One, because I love the song. And two, because I know that, like, okay, he has to have, like, his keyboard, his sampler. He has to know music and how to loop things correctly. But I'm so in awe of all the skills that went into in real time. He did this on a live stream one time.
This is
just
literally
made all this
what
shit up.
I want my life to be.
It is
watching
so
this.
Amazing.
He's bought all the equipment that I dream of having, and he's just literally saying, yo, give me that ass, give me that fucking booty. And he looks like Anthony Fantano when he was 18.
I'm sucking your booty and ass in the same place. Or whatever the fuck it was. Oh, I'm sucking your pussy and ass in the same place. Gotta work that ass for daddy. And he looks like a Anthony Fantano who's in shape with hair. Yeah. It's nuts. He looks like a pedophile, and it's great. He's a monster, but I love him, and I'm just in awe of this. And as a guy who has just dabbled a little bit into music and music composition here and there, total amateur shit. Like, I talked about this before. It's like this man's casting a fucking magical spell. He knows the Harry Potter runes and glyphs to just do magic in front of me, and I don't get it at all.
It's
and
funny
I think
that you're so impressed with it just because I do get it. I get, like, how you would do this.
I mean, okay, answer this question. I've had one question about this. The hardest thing about this to me seems how to get the loops to sync up perfectly in real time. Are these things like...
press the button at the right exact second, you know?
That seems so hard to do that consistently.
Well, I mean,
is there, like,
it's the same as playing like notes on the beat consistently.
But that's hard, though.
Well,
is the thing.
You learn how to do it.
Most basic skill you need to have.
If you can tap your feet to a beat, you can eventually transfer that skill into. I mean, doing something.
The fact of the matter is, there is some margin of error allowance. Like I'm thinking about like times I've seen live bands where they have to like Agaloch, which I know Hippo, you listened to like the whole Agaloch discography the other day, right?
Oh yeah.
What'd you think about that?
I liked it. There was a lot of like the deep screamy. Well, not a lot actually. It was just bits of it. But yeah, it was very moody and very cool. Good background music for working.
Yeah. When I saw Agaloch live, because they switch back and forth between a like unplugged and plugged in sound, in order to switch between guitar tonalities, they have to like press a switch with their like kick down on a little switch. But there's often moments in the songs where it like dramatically transitions between like acoustic and electric, so you have to hit that thing on the floor just at the right time to and you can see that it definitely seems like a bit of a struggle to remember to do it at the right time. And
I've definitely had trouble with guitar pedals and stuff. I never seem to I mean, it was years ago that I've been using guitar pedals, and like when I used to be in like a school band playing like little rock things, and you're doing the thing with your hands, and then you got to like lift like your foot up and land on something.
Anything involving your feet, like what this guy is doing in this video, it's funny. This is exactly when I said like this is what I want to do. I'm not exaggerating. I literally want this equipment because I have a habit of banging on desks, like making desk beats and stuff, just out of not being able to sit still. And like those pads, the synth pads, like what he's got there that he's doing his beats on. Ever since I saw the Kanye West video for Runaway, where he's playing the beat pad to the Phoenix, I was like, oh, I don't have to learn how to play drums. Drumming is so hard. Like, to me, this looks easy. Drumming, where you have to time your hands and legs together, is nearly impossible. I cannot coordinate my hands and feet. But if you just press buttons on a pad with your hands, it's so much easier to control and time your hands. So, something like this seems like a way I actually could perform music that would be less difficult than any other method.
Every time I stream, I'm getting more and more of a master. I'm acquiring these skills via my soundboard, which I would mash right now, but none of you will hear it in the recording, so I'll do it for myself. Epic, bruh. Fuck yeah.
Music has also been one of the things I've been trying to make on like GarageBand on my iPad. Just simple beats that, they loop, so I don't need to think about time too much. And I'm just desperately trying to make something that sounds like it could be on a Gorillaz album, and then I'm gonna sing over it. But every time I make the beat, and I'm like, I think I have a trouble like figuring out how to structure the song. Maybe Digi, you could help with that, like advice, because I have the beat and it loops. And then I add a thing, and now it's suddenly there's too many things, and it's too cluttered. So I get rid of it, and I can't like figure out how to visualize the entire song before I have something to sing to.
If you're having trouble with too many like too many layers, like too much sound, is that what you mean? Like
I don't know. I have a few things, but they just sound like amateur doesn't know what he's doing sort of beats.
Yeah. I would say that like part of what I've learned is that the EQ matters a lot, in the sense that like a beat is usually prepared out of elements that don't exist on the same frequency as your voice. So like, think of a rap beat, usually bass and hi-hats are like the main focus, because it's either way super deep or way super high pitched, but your voice tends to fall into the mid-range. So as you're customizing a beat, like you a professional producer would try to create the beat around the singer's range, try to like figure out where do we fit your voice in there, or, make a good singer, of course, will also know to fit their singing to the beat. But like for me, I try to seek out beats that I will sound good on top of. I more or less know where my voice falls in the range from just like looking at my singing through an equalizer, So I just try to make it so there is space in the beat for that sound frequency, that nothing else is on that exact spot. And granted, I don't do this very often. Most of my music just sounds like shit. It just sounds like a garbled mess because I can't avoid these problems, either because I didn't make the beat or, whatever else. But like when you're actually making your own, it's very nice to get to go. Like I will sometimes create a beat just by thinking, all right, let me find a low pitch noise and a high pitch noise and something in the middle that doesn't counteract my voice. And if you have those three things, you're done. Essentially, you just got to arrange them into a song.
I guess I just got to work at it a bit. It always annoys me. I'm getting close. Like I have like a bass line. I play that and it loops and it's like that's pretty good. Yeah. And I add some drums. It's like it's pretty good, but like it doesn't feel like a song.
Well, it also helps to remember, especially if you're doing like a guerrilla style thing, that most of it is sample based, like rather than just making it out of the sounds that are built into the program, it might help to go and like just go find drum sounds that you want to use or make your own samples or even something like that, I'm sure that a lot of, in the case of Gorillaz, like the album The Fall, I think he literally made that like in a week on his iPad while flying between places or something.
When I learned that he made it on an iPad, I was like, okay, well, I have an iPad. Maybe I could try. Maybe I could make something.
Yeah. It's funny because I used to fuck around in GarageBand way back when I had a Mac, and that makes that kind of thing a lot easier because it comes with a sample pack. So like... and a lot of those guys, I don't know if Damon Albarn specifically uses GarageBand, but like I will hear the sounds that are like prepackaged with GarageBand in all kinds of music, especially TV shows.
AudioJungle.com.
Yeah, even like Yuki Kajiura, who's my favorite anime soundtrack composer. I know she uses GarageBand just because some of those loops come up in her songs. And I'm like, there they are. Like I've played with these myself, but. It's also a little embarrassing when you hear it too much. When like I'm watching House Hunters or something, and I'm like, okay, I know all this music is made out of like 3 loops. This soundtrack was crafted in 30 minutes, and I could have done it myself, But
I don't really mind that it feels. The thing that I've always had problems with in music is just having songs that have beginnings and endings and hooks and stuff. Like a flow. I don't really care what I make it with or how it sounds.
All you need is 8 bars of intro, 16 bars for the first verse, 8 bars of chorus, 16 bars for the second verse, 8 bars of chorus, some kind of bridge for 4 to 8 bars, the 8 bars of chorus again, 8 bars of outro. That's every pop song. So
okay,
there you go.
Okay, I'll
write that down, kids.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna write
cheat
that
sheet
down.
Delivered for you.
Clickety clack down the track.
And at 130 BPM, that almost always equals a 2-minute song, which is why nowadays rap music, you'll notice that there are so many songs that are almost exactly 2 minutes, and it's just because, like, if you just do that structure I just described at, like, the minimal level, it will always come out to 2 minutes. You'll see that on a lot of my albums that I did with Shade, because he just builds a song to that structure, and it's just like, okay, done.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Is that going to be the Radcon rap? Is it going to be exactly 2 minutes?
No, it'll probably be much longer because there's 6 of us on it.
We've got a lot to cover. There's a lot of garlic to butter, a lot of bread to slice.
Gotcha.
A lot of crypto.
It all depends.
To devalue.
I mean, we will. Obviously, we're in the middle of the show right now, but. What do we want this track to be? Like, do we want it to be an epic length diss track or like a cool, like in and out, just like more of a hit song,
I was thinking for the purposes of like it's a story. The PCP got hacked and we're dissing Brad Garlic House. I think it should be a storytelling song. instead of
that
just
the
a fuck
music
you.
video should tell the story if there is one, and the song is just it's
Well,
kind of
there's one
an
and the
anthem
same.
of
Like, you can't really tell a story with a song that isn't telling a story.
what I mean.
In
of
a
course you
music
can.
video.
Music videos all the time have stories that aren't in the
They're
song.
usually in the song. Maybe you don't pay attention to the
Well,
lyrics.
usually
Incorrect.
the video is like an interpretation of the song on some level.
Sure,
But
Like, I'm not literally saying, like, let's start with a story time voice, like, once upon a time, the PC... I mean, we could do that.
well, I don't care what we
guess
do
we'll
with it,
find out.
honestly. But if we don't tank Ripple XRP when the release of that song comes, we will have failed our mission. So that's my one thing that I want to have happen.
My one thing is that we're on the PCP channel right now.
That would be nice. That would be nice, Brad. Help us out.
Where's this
Did you do it?
going?
No. Okay, never mind.
You gonna upload this episode on your channel, Nate?
I don't know. Probably not, considering I already said I don't want to.
Yeah. Why is
Yeah,
that?
there you go. Because my channel's for very specific content.
Okay. So
There you go.
like it wasn't in the plan or anything. It wasn't in your plan or anything that like any of these PCP episodes might go up on your channel. But the rest of us though, that was our plan.
Fair enough.
No, I'm saying that ironically, Nate. I'm being sarcastic. I'm saying you're being selfish for not wanting to upload this on your channel when the rest of us are totally willing to do it. That's what I'm saying. Fuck you.
You are welcome to have that opinion.
I do.
That's
Strongly.
fair enough.
Okay.
well resolved.
Damn.
Excellent.
Hey Tom,
Yo.
what's going on with you, dog?
I made a cell shader and I'm really proud of it. That's
Fuck
what
yeah.
That's what I did while everyone else doing PCP the last 2 weeks. I figured it out. I made in Blender a shader that looks just like a cartoon, really easily, and it looks good, and it has line art that like scales. It doesn't get distorted as a bunch of 3D nerd shit that most people won't understand. But it looks great, and it's crisp, and it's perfect, and I love it. And I put an animation up on Twitter. It's great. 10 out of 10. Unlocked full potential of doing cartoon style in Blender. Really proud. 10 out of 10 good times.
What if we used 100% of our brain?
Oh.
We have the answer.
Yeah, you get perfect cell shading. That's what happens.
I was reading political articles.
Oh,
and I
no.
got accidentally
That has nothing to do with cell shading.
I got accidentally redirected to some article, and it was like Jeff Bezos talking about it's like Trump says to Bill Gates, like, you will not ban this invention, the American people need it. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And it was like, and he was talking about some like breakthrough, and like Bill Gates says we can now access 100% of the brain. It was just a fake article for like some brain pills. It was just like some fucking brain pills.
Incredible.
Advertisement.
Thank you,
It was
Alex
all
Jones,
lies.
for bringing those to our attention.
Yes, it was
Love
Alex
you.
Jones tier shit, and I had been had.
I've been having those every day, and I can tell you they don't affect me very much.
Sorry, my internet
I already
cut
had
out.
100% of my brain, I guess. You know, what are you going to do?
My internet cut out for a second. What was being said?
Brain
brain-
Some shitty
brain pills.
that
Thumbs up or
expand
thumbs
him,
down.
You know, he's a genius
Here's
now.
something,
He bought him, he invested.
I'll just run this by you guys. This is a thought I
Yeah.
was having earlier about a potential video I might make about about different types of level design and game design and storytelling and game design. And I was thinking about it because of Dark Souls. I started playing Dark Souls 3 again, which is fucking bae. And
It is.
I was thinking about how, Dark Souls 1 is definitely like way more open-ended. There's like a lot more you can do, a lot more variety in the ways you can play it. But how Dark Souls 3 is so like opulent and like tightly crafted, and it's like every single moment of it is really memorable, to me at least. And I think that like I was thinking about the trade-off between like more modern and older games, right? And how like most modern games are trying to create like a very linear, tightly crafted experience, but with a lot of depth at least in the visual and like graphics department, where they're trying to make it so that there's a lot of verbosity to the storytelling. That's the term I've come up with. And the way I would describe what is verbosity in a video game setting is if you were to translate this into a book, how many words would it take to convey everything that's on the screen?
That's just a normal word, Digi. That just is a word that means that.
Yes. Well, I'm applying it to game design because in the case, so to give an example of a game that I would consider to be not verbose, but also extremely non-linear would be Dwarf Fortress, right? Like, almost anything can happen in that game, but the way that it will happen, the way it will be described to you is just a sentence telling you that it happened. Whereas in, say, like,
I think I've heard this video.
Yeah? Are you saying somebody else already made this point that I'm making here?
No, it's you. Didn't you talk about Dwarf Fortress in that big old autistic something or other something?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
You were talking about all the different forms of art, mediums, and then how they...
Oh, I don't think I did talk about Dwarf Fortress in that video, but maybe. I don't remember if I did, but... Anyway, point being that in that game, like, tons of things can happen, but they will not be described in very much detail. It's just kind of telling you that the thing happened. Whereas, like, in an Uncharted game or something, even just, like, Nick Drake jumps and grabs ledge, like, that story is told in, like, an obscene amount of detail through the visuals and graphics and all that. So, like, the question becomes, like, what makes...
I don't know if I agree with this at all. Like, the game state of Dwarf Fortress is so much more complex than any of these other games you're talking about.
We're talking about raw graphical representation, though, right?
To fully... Well, that's such verbosity. To fully describe the game state of Dwarf Fortress would take so many more words.
Yes, but that's the thing. To describe the current game state, but... The game state should be, like, if I'm playing Uncharted, for instance, like, if I were to say that, like, okay, describing this one moment, all that simply is happening is that Nate Drake is, climbing up a wall. But, like, that is in the middle of the ongoing story of what's happening. Like, in Dwarf Fortress, one thing is happening right now. But, yes, to describe everything that led up to that point would take a long time. But
one thing is happening, but, like, one thing is happening, like, everywhere simultaneously, like a separate thing. Like, every tile of the map has its own state, and, like, every entity that exists has its own state and, like, also history of everything that ever happened to it.
Would you say that state is, like, how do I put it? Because, like, I agree with you that, like, keeping track of what's happening in Dwarf Fortress would be, like, a much more complex operation. I'm just thinking about, like, if let's say that one of the stories being told in this game is, like, Dwarf goes to well, like, that there is nothing to that other than that phrase in that game, whereas, like, Nate Drake goes to well has a visual representation that tells another conglomerate of stories through the art design and everything else like that, and this is there is information conveyed in... I mean, I think both games have certain information that they do convey and certain information that they don't. I mean, visually, in terms of, like, what it looks like when he does this thing, there's a lot more going on in Uncharted. Are we talking about Uncharted? Whatever game, it doesn't matter. Uncharted is just the first HD, visually focused, experience-driven game. Yeah. It was just making me think about how, essentially, you always are going to have to kind of pick where on this slider you want to be, because there's, like, limited time and resources to get anything made. And so the more non-linear an experience is going to be, the less verbose it necessarily can be within the same resources as making something linear, but super verbose, You're
talking about how you can't have a character progression and a story arc in Minecraft because it's Minecraft. To have that, like, randomly generate would be impossible. Yeah,
yes, that is partly what I'm saying as well. like in any game where I guess I'm thinking more about like asset generation, like the sheer complexity of Dwarf Fortress, you can't, like, the reason it doesn't have a visual interface is that you'd have to just account for so many possibilities. It would take fucking forever, you know, to create like an actual visual interpretation of what's happening. So, you know, the way I see it, it's just like any of those games, like the games with the super complex systems almost never have super complex graphics, you know. That almost always comes down to more linear experiences.
And, you know, on that point, it ties into the video I've long been thinking about making, which is this, like, the whatever it is, I've yet to find a satisfying title for, but it's like the like cap or like the curve of like intellectual, like the ceiling of intellectual complexity, meaning the more, like, take your Final Fantasy 15, that game is quote unquote complex, but it's complex in many superficial ways that don't tie into, at least superficial in terms of gameplay, but in terms of like rendering and graphical representation, like all the complexity is there. When it comes to gameplay, you mash X to attack, and there's other options too. But
that's part of what I kind of want, like, the takeaway from this video idea I have to be. And it's something I've been saying in a lot of my videos lately, is just that, like, I really think that when you're crafting a story, you should always be asking yourself, like, what story am I telling right now? Not so much in, like, the broad sense of, like, everything has to fit into my grand narrative, but just that whatever you're doing, it should be telling a story. It should contribute to the telling of a story. And if it doesn't tell a story or contribute to the story, or it's not an interesting story, then just try to get rid of it. You know, like, if there's parts in a video game where, let's say, you're just walking through empty space, and maybe that could be because, let's say you're playing Xenoblade, right? And you're in a gigantic open field full of monsters, and it's like really epic, and you feel swept up in the moment. Like, that's a good story about wandering around through an open field. But usually wandering around through an open field is not a story and is not interesting. And, you know, you would want to cut down on how much random wandering there is in your game, unless that's like core to the point, like Skyrim. And even then, it's boring. It's just the connecting thread that needs to be there for the story to feel the way that it does, you know? But, like, overall, like, you know, trimming the fat is a good idea. And I think that the biggest problem with these AAA games that go all in on the graphics is that they don't always tell a story. They're not always contributing, or at least not contributing enough for it to be worth the extra effort they're putting in. You know, it's like how much at what point does the verbosity become purple prose? It's just fill in, you know, extra detail that really wasn't necessary, doesn't contribute to the story, you know.
That's nearly all of graphics. Like, how much does the way a rock is rendered with like perfect lighting, and it's like, oh, it's glistening with water, and it's also dynamic and graphics intensive and computer intensive, and the rock, like, slightly more sells the realisticness of the location, but it's so redundant at some point. Like, it's been redundant for years.
For a game that isn't redundant though, would be Dark Souls. Like Dark Souls 3, everything you see tells a story in that game, you know?
I was going to mention Bloodborne, but yeah, it's the same thing with that. Yeah.
So, like, and even just the random things that are used to sort of spruce up the environment. Like, I think about Deus Ex Human Revolution, right? That game has tons and tons of random, like, papers and stuff on all the desks in everybody's room, and it's almost all repeated. Like, you can recognize the exact same assets in, like, every room in the game, but they're just there to make it so that every room feels like somebody lives in it, you know? And I'm fine with that. Like, obviously it's a little distracting that the same stuff comes up over and over again, but do I think that the game looks better with the clutter than it would without it? I do kind of think so. And, like, in the case of Dark Souls, like, there's all these random bodies strewn about all over the place, right? But, like, you know, they're placed in ways that look good. They contribute to the feeling of the setting and the story that has been told before you got there, you know? And even if a lot of it is just obviously the same clone-stamped bodies, it's the way they're arranged, the way that, meaning is derived from putting a character next to an object or putting it in this location, or the story of, going to this one random platform is interesting because of the item layout and the enemy layout. It's just the game is always telling a story. Every single encounter is a story,
This gives me a really cool idea. Imagine a game that the story is about things being copy pasted. So it would be, like mass produced. Like everybody, like there would be the same clutter in everybody's house, but the reason all the clutter is the same is because everybody's being fed the same information, and there's sort of like a hive mind of people. You could make the having to copy paste things for saving money into the story of the game, and then it would make more sense, and it would be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it is a good idea.
I think
take your time. Why don't you were trying to say something before? I'll go after you.
I was just gonna say I think that the problem that you're talking about comes from just like intent and laziness, right? Because like all these big AAA games, they want to be filmed, like they're trying to be filmed. Like that's why they have like these narrow scopes with this really like crazy amount of detail and stuff, and also because like that's easier to sell to people, especially when your entire industry is kind of based on technological progression. So it's like making an Uncharted game that has like basically no depth but like is a visual tour de force is more filmic, which is what the normal people kind of understand, like, oh, it looks like a movie, and it's easier to iterate on technical aspects than to be creative and build story. And like the money still flows.
Yeah, I mean, in the case of Uncharted, like, I think they base the Uncharted games around the set pieces for the most part. So I think they look at it as like, what's a crazy, exciting set piece we can create, and what is necessary to make that happen. And like, I do think that the realism of those games adds to those scenes where some of them are really well done. Like, and this comes down to a problem of like, for instance, Tomb Raider in the new Tomb Raider series. All the times where it like changes controls for a dramatic scene and like
terrible
becomes a movie, they all suck. They're horrible. And like every time one of those scenes
because you haven't
happen,
practiced, they have to be incredibly easy so you can do it instantly.
Or they're not incredibly easy to do the first time, but it's completely fucking just asinine that you like. If it's worse to fail it than it is to get it right the first time. But those scenes, I hate them, and every time they would come up, I would just think like, man, this game had such a ludicrously overblown budget. Because Tomb Raider 2013 or whatever, it was like, it sold like 6 million copies and was still a disappointment for Square Enix. And it's just like,
that's how it goes.
Why did you put all these fucking expensive scripted sequences that don't contribute anything to the story? They are not interesting stories in and of themselves. They are dull, generic. They're all the same story.
Lara Croft slides down a fucking hill.
That's I mean, like, it's totally true. But Tomb Raider 1, or the 2013 one, was critically acclaimed. Everybody loved it. It got praise from everybody. It is a great
game aside from those scenes. That's the thing. Like, everything else it does right.
But I think
just
most people,
those parts.
I think there are a lot of people, like the mass market, that enjoy the spectacle of those scenes and don't care about the lack of complexity.
Maybe. But those
true.
That is what I think is the biggest thing that hurts modern games, is that they throw in too much frivolous shit, and one frivolous thing in a game that costs millions to generate like a second of gameplay, it's a lot of fucking wasted money.
Right.
Here's an interesting example about that. So I replayed Kingdom Hearts 3 recently on critical mode. The game is a nightmare. It's a disaster. Like through most of it, the only times that game is good is some amusing like engagement between the Disney stories, like the characters, and the original Kingdom Hearts story. Sometimes that's good, like in Monsters Inc. a little bit, and in Toy Story. Like the ending of the game is an absolute nightmare. Makes me want to kill myself. Absolute fuck up. But the DLC, well, first of all, critical mode was added, so now fighting is actually kind of fun. And the DLC data boss fights at the end are actually good. Okay, none of that was my point. My point is that as I was playing through the game the second time, this is the first time, but whatever. There's have you guys ever played the game The Witness by Jonathan Blow? You know what that game is?
I'm aware of it.
I've heard of it.
It's for anyone who doesn't know, it's a perspective-based game
That's
where you walk around in a 3D
environment. Game, right?
That's correct. And that game, The Witness, has a unique feature about a lot of things.
Real quick, I would recommend actually it was Joseph Alexander who did like a 45-minute review of that game, right?
Joseph
And
Anderson.
Joseph Anderson.
Joseph
Yeah,
Anderson.
Yeah, I
he
believe
did.
that's right.
That
yeah.
was a pretty good video.
That's the only
It's
video by that
interesting.
guy that I really enjoyed. So check
Okay,
it
Yeah,
out.
there you go.
that's his best one,
We'll
for sure.
check it out because interestingly enough, there is one thing that's I was wondering if it was maybe copied in Kingdom Hearts 3 from that, and there's lots of like these if you, in certain positions in the witness, like things will line up in like there's a thing you look for. It's a dot with a line after it, and it could be things like in a certain position on the island you're on, the clouds will form that position. You have to look at it in this perspective and then like draw a line with your mouse and it'll like do something. There's a mechanic similar to that in Kingdom Hearts 3, which is these Mickey emblems that are scattered throughout the world. And as you play through the game, you can find them. And if you're very keen and looking for things, for example, there's like these 3 pillars of rocks that don't look like anything as you're climbing Mount Olympus. But when you get to the top of Mount Olympus and you look down at them, suddenly they form the shape of Mickey's head, which is the Mickey emblem, and you can take a picture of it, and that gives you like the achievement. Stuff like that was cool. And the thing to tie into what we were saying was that one of those things, which actually didn't involve the perspective thing, but as I was playing through the game, I got to Monsters, Inc., and I was fucking around doing stuff. I beat the level. One of the things they do in Kingdom Hearts is they recreate places from the Pixar worlds in now an explorable 3D environment in the Kingdom Hearts world. And a lot of people just enjoy that, even though they have to partner with a company and recreate every detail, blah, blah, blah. It's a whole big thing. But like one of the things is, if you remember on the scare floor in Monsters Inc., there's just like desks where the like Mike Wazowski and Sully would work, and Mike like worked at his desk and had like papers and stuff, and Sully would go scare in the doors and then come back out. So they've each got desks covered with paper. As I was playing through the game again and getting all the emblems, one of the desks written on the paperwork has a unique thing, which is like a bunch of wires in a circle, and those wires are a Mickey emblem. They're in the shape of a Mickey emblem, and you have to look for them specifically and find them. And when I was going through and finding that, at no point did I ever give a single fuck about anything that was on any of those desks as I was like blasting through the world, just killing the Heartless and the Unversed as fast as I could to get to the end, actually good part of the game. But then I was like, as I got to that, it made me suddenly take stock and kind of appreciate the like environmental design that had gone in here, which is something that I just absolutely would not have done if I wasn't like a completionist who wanted to get like every little mini game in the game completed. And to tie it back to the point, it's just like they put so much work into all these details that 99% of people will 100% just blast by and not pay any attention to.
I mean, it's really funny because there's some places where you want to like praise that, and then other places where it's like why did you bother?
try?
Like
there's a give and take.
Like obviously, most people will never see Ash Lake in Dark Souls, but those who do will be like, "This is a life-changing moment."
Yeah.
In Kingdom Hearts, I'm not sure if you will feel much once you finally do observe all that stuff, other than they put all this here. Why?
Yeah, I mean that's true. That mini game is one of the more enjoyable, like actually gameplay things that was in the game from the start. But I mean it's true. Like in the grand scheme of things, did that save the game? Absolutely not. Whatever. It's a complicated thing how good that game is. But yeah, I mean in terms of like the money and time, the 13 years to get the game done, due to various reasons. Yeah. Obviously, it wasn't all that they were just building out specific stuff.
I'm just going to go ahead and call that, I mean, obviously what it is, bad project management, which is just Square Enix in a nutshell. Like, the fact that they have had, like, all of these issues, like the whole Tomb Raider being considered underselling because of how much it costs, is just the kind of stuff you look at and you go, like, how fucked is your corporate structure that you can make this mistake? That like,
because I know that Square Enix isn't the studio that developed Tomb Raider, but they are the publisher, so they were obviously part of it. The fact that they agreed to and that
they were having this issue on all their games, like because that year it was also Hitman Absolution and fucking what was it, Sleeping Dogs. Those were all 3 games that they had published that all had sold millions of copies and all were considered financial disappointments and all were just way over the top with the graphics, and it's like there's no need for this. Like, I don't know if this makes you as because the reason they're all doing it is because they think it makes them competitive to have better graphics. But it's like you're being competitive with games that are selling 10 million copies. You're not like only one in every so many games that even attempts to reach that audience is going to do so. So it's just not worth the risk of trying to even do that.
I agree.
There's an aspect to this as well, which is games that go for a heavy stylistic approach, where the heavy computer processing power is not required in any way, and the art. Yeah. Like, I was playing Okami, right? The best game ever made. And the game, if you're not aware, is about a dog, a wolf, and you are the dog, and you are the wolf, and you are a god, and you have magic powers. And it's like the graphical design is supposed to be that of like a Japanese painting, watercolor, or calligraphy, and all that sort of cool, non-realistic looking shit. And because of that, they can take massive shortcuts with like things in the background. Like in the background, there's no skybox. There's just like a big blank color and like calligraphy mountain, like just a big black line of just a mountain and like a tree or like, you know, various mountains. When you're in the city, you can look up and you can see like completely solid black silhouettes of like almost like paper cutout tall Japanese buildings looking things.
Yeah.
And that's all they need to give you the illusion that this is a huge city with loads of stuff in, and then the mountain is like, this world is vast. And it's like, it's really smart to go with something like that, because not only did that game come out like a million years ago and is like one of the best looking games I've ever seen in my life, but they were able to make it back then in the same way. They made HD versions, but nothing has been like changed. It's just the fidelity, the resolution rather. So it's a time saver, it's a money saver, it's a graphics saver, and it's just better. Just don't do realism.
I just wish that like the AAA market was what I think it should be, like an enthusiast niche. Like right now it seems like games are dominated by like games that work as hard as possible to be like the most technologically impressive. Yeah. I wish that was like with like technology that like the most advanced stuff is for that group that wants to get it and be like pushing the envelope. But that's not how it is.
Here's what I think happened, and this is based on there's a great show called What Happened on YouTube by a guy called Matt McMuscles, where he breaks down like games that flopped or that had troubled developments. He goes through like what happened. And a lot of the time what he's talking about is how the 7th generation of consoles basically killed everybody. Like making games for the PS3 and Xbox 360, just like because of the fact that all the games were trying to be like the most expensive, most broad-reaching game possible, and that's what the publishers wanted. And so every promising game developer that starts to spring up, EA or whoever else comes in, buys them out, and gives them a shit ton of money to make a bigger, crazier game, and they can't do it. Like making games on that scale, especially when they keep getting mandates from the publisher for all these different things. Now you got to add multiplayer because this game came out with a hugely successful multiplayer, and now we all have to have it. And it's just like, well, it doesn't go in our game, and it's expensive to implement. Doesn't matter. Now the game's uneven. It's going to get 7 out of 10 scores. It's not going to sell more than 1 or 2 million when it needs to sell 6 or 7 million, and the developer gets shut down. And it just comes down to, I think, all these publishers looking at GTA and Call of Duty and saying, we have to be that successful. Like, we all want to be super rich, giant corporations. And when you go in with that mentality, that it's just like, you're not thinking about how to make good art. You're thinking about how other people have made money, trying to copy it without really understanding what they did, and then failing. And it's just like, this is not the environment to do creativity in. Like, if you want to make stories, you have to think about the story you're making. What is the appropriate size of this project? What is the appropriate amount of effort and budget to spend on this so that it can make profit, And I think that with a lot of these AAA games, with all the crazy graphics and stuff, really the problem is that the price of games has never increased, but the expectations have. You know, that like games
Indeed.
keep being well, it's not that they never increased, but you know, going into the 7th gen, it became $60 was the standard. But it's like, you know, $60. I could spend $60 on Dark Souls, and they will be making way more money off of that $60 than Tomb Raider would have made off the same purchase. You know, and it's just like that's smart business, and that's why. Even a small developer like FromSoft, by just not bloating their process, can keep making these games that feel like magic. Because
I'm not even sure that they count as AAA, but they are the only AAA company I trust. The only one. Yeah. I don't trust anybody else anymore. Least of all Square Enix.
Hey,
well,
Tom.
Let's hope Elden Ring is fucking baller.
Indeed.
You have been playing Okami, I recall you saying on Twitter.
Hell yeah. It's fucking great.
Talk about how cool it is.
It's the fucking shit. I mean, I find myself like constantly getting lost in Okami, just trying to figure out how Clover did all the fucking things they did. It's like blowing my mind. I don't understand. Because like a lot of the stuff in the game is just sprites to cut down on the poly count. Because I'm playing Okami, and like it's funny because you're saying like it's not very graphically taxing, and now it's not. But I have a strong suspicion that at the time this was pushing the PS2 to its limits because
maybe it was. I mean, a lot of the things they do. It never chugged on my PS2.
Yeah, it's because the way they're doing the outlines for all the characters is they're doing what I'm doing. It's called the inverted hull. It's where you duplicate the mesh and have it the back of the faces be transparent so you can see through it, and then you make it a little bigger so all you see is the outline of this like duplicate shell around the main mesh. And so that doubles the poly count of everything in the game. And when you're working with this low headroom like the PS2, that's a problem. So the characters are all really simplistically designed. Like the characters don't have any mouths that articulate or anything like that. Their heads just kind of jingle around when they're talking. And like there's like a poly count limit in the engine because there's no enemies on screen. You always go into this little tiny arena when you encounter one of those scrolls, and then the enemies spawn, so they don't have to draw the background. So there's tons of little like shortcuts they're doing, but it all just looks aesthetically gorgeous because like it has like considered art direction from the very beginning. And like it's really interesting because like Okami originally was going to be a photorealistic game. Like there's an old ass fucking trailer and screenshot of like a realistic Amaterasu running in a realistic looking field, and it just wasn't feasible with the PS2. So they completely changed the art direction. And once they got the painterly style, that's when they added the celestial brush, because they started like thinking of other ways to use this art style reflected in gameplay. And there's just so many fucking cool things that the game does, and it's just so brilliantly considered, and the way the aesthetics and the gameplay blend together. It's fucking great. It's like
Kamiya's the man, dude.
He really is, and the fact that like all these characters reference Devil May Cry and Beautiful Joe is fucking badass. Every time you fight Waka, he makes a reference to one of Kamiya's other games, and it makes me lol. It's great.
Are you excited?
I probably played Okami. Oh, yeah.
Are you excited for the Wonderful 101 ports coming out?
Yeah, because I haven't played it, even though I have a Wii U. I never got around to buying it because at the time I didn't even realize that was a Kamiya game because I'm a fool.
I don't know.
You know that's cool.
I don't know if any of you saw it.
Sorry.
I don't know if any of you saw it. The Matthew Matosis talking about the Kickstarter where he straight up called Wonderful 101 his favorite game of all time.
He did.
Damn.
Yeah.
He said that Rain World might be vying with it for domination.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Okay.
Matthew has a very specific taste. I know that his favorite game of all time is not going to be something that I would like on the same level. But
maybe, but
like
I mean,
he's into that arcade sort of
Wonderful
stuff.
101 was like, oh yeah, it's basically Beautiful Joe, Devil May Cry, and Okami all wrapped up into one game.
So like the biggest cum in the universe.
I mean, maybe. I have like very specific desires, and it's really just I want to be in a 3-dimensional world and have autonomy to turn around. Anything that is like an arcadey version, like 2.5D makes me, that's a big trigger. That's a big no-no. Where you have 3D, but you've taken it to the 2-dimension, and you're just fake 3D. I can't run around and jump on things. Fuck you. But actually, it's fine.
I did beat that game years ago on a friend's Wii U, and I did like it a lot. But I don't really care that it's getting remade. But I'm happy for those who do. So Godspeed, everybody who's interested.
I'll get it. It'll be sick, I'm sure.
I already have.
I prefer Devil May Cry. What can I say? I don't know.
I'm
Woo!
positive I'll prefer Devil May Cry because it's my jam and it's my favorite forever for all time.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that the reason other than the fact that it's on the Wii U, I think the reason the Wonderful 101 was always poised for lack of success is just that it doesn't look cool on the surface. Like, it looks deliberately lame in a way. And I think that whatever it is going for, obviously, once you actually understand it and you engage with it, then you'll appreciate it on its own terms. And I think that Matthew Matosis is very good at that. And like, it fascinates me to see the different reasons people like things. Because like, I tend to be of the opinion that like, I like it because it's good, and like, I like all kinds of things that are good that appeal to me in some way. But like, the main appeal is the fact that it's good, whereas I think most people, the main appeal is on a conceptual level more so. It's like that is like 80% of the battle for most people. It's like, I get to play as a cool guy and slash things. It's like most of it, and then the fact that it's good is what keeps you coming back.
I think it's because most people's like occupation isn't exploring media, and so they have to make choices.
Well, it's funny because that gets brought up every time I think about this, but like, the reason my occupation is exploring media is because I love exploring media. Like, I made that my occupation so that I could keep
not
doing
everybody
it,
has autism like you do, so that's another thing.
Well, and it's sad because everybody who I have ever known who has experimented, it makes your life better because you eventually find things that you didn't know you wanted.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like if I had never started eating Asian food, I imagine my life would be very different.
You would never love Japan, period.
Yeah.
Right.
Indeed.
It's just funny to me to think that, like, because there's lots of people, especially when it comes to food here in America, almost most of the people I know or encounter have just never even tried experimenting with other stuff. And I always just come away like, why? Like, wouldn't you assume there are things that you will love that are out there that you haven't found yet? Won't you be like so fucking hype when you find out about those things? But, I don't know. Most people don't seem to care. They're just like, I'm fine with what I got. And I'm like, all right.
There's a guy I know out here in Ohio. This doesn't speak highly of this place in the country or the world, but who, as far as he knows, has never eaten anything except, I believe it was fries and chicken tenders his entire life. And this is just how he survives. That's it.
My dad knew a guy who lived off hot dogs, so I guess it's possible somehow.
Fair enough.
You're just.
By the way, that reminds me, the whole. I am glad that this remaster is coming, or the whatever release for PC or whatever, because I'll probably play through it again on that, because I always want to take notice of Matthew Matosis, and he's the guy who's made me like Matthew Matosis introduced me to the idea that like I should go back and I've beaten all the Devil May Cries, but like I should play them again and find out why I don't get them. Because I still don't understand. I mean, I just haven't done this yet. I've been saying for a while. I need to find out why the point system and the trying to like master combat is like particularly enjoyable. I know, whatever. I talked about this before. I don't get it yet, and I'm gonna make some effort. And Wonderful 101 is absolutely one of those games where like the real goal is to get pure platinum on like every mission. That's when you really beat.
Well, I think I think that one of the biggest problems in game journalism is that not enough people approach games on their own terms, and it's because every reviewer is trying to appeal to everybody. They're trying to like imagine like the layman, like the perfect just gamer who is generic, who will like the same things, whose opinion is predictable. Like they're thinking, okay, most people only play a game once, so let's review this from the perspective of having played this game once. And it's like, okay, but in the case of like Beautiful Joe or any of Kamiya's games, pretty much, like the point is to play it more than once. Like the game is not designed with the expectation that you would play it only once. Most of his games are like 2 to 6 hours long. Wonderful 101 I understand is much longer, but like yes, you will have a good time playing Devil May Cry through once, and that's kind of a testament to how great the design of the game is. But like, can you really review it if you're not having the experience that the game is meant to provide and will provide at its best? Like, shouldn't we shouldn't some reviewers, like make sure that they get to that point before they really talk about the game? And that's why I appreciate Matthew Matosis and Super Bunny Hop so much as well, because
Metal Gear Solid 5 100%.
Right,
Never forget.
They'll 100% it. They'll go to the highest difficulty, and a lot of the times you don't really get to experience all the systems of a game until you go to the highest difficulty, because it will push you to have to learn those systems, especially Metal Gear Solid, where as he put it in the MGS3 video, where he says like low level play looks like this, and he's like looks like a super serious action game, and he's like high level play looks like this, and it's like 5 guys standing around a porn magazine that then spews out knockout gas and knocks them all unconscious, and it's like,
just mastery of the systems completely, and just you can do whatever you want. Oh, it's beautiful.
And it's like, obviously the average player will not do those things, so reviewers don't try to account for it. But like, what if the reviewer tried to push you to do those things? Like Matthew Matosis, he didn't just do a perfect run of Devil May Cry. He's like, hey, why don't you challenge yourself and try to get this good at some game? Like, surely there's a game that you're passionate about, and like you will learn so much more about it if you play it this way. So like, if you really want to develop a real relationship with your video game, like, just try some things. Try some kind of challenge,
Absolutely true. I gotta plug this thing real quick, because with the DLC release for Kingdom Hearts 3, the Remind DLC, with all like the actual good bosses at the end of the game now, there has been an influx of what's called like something like Kingdom Hearts 3 like versus any of them, like Marluxia, level 1, no hits, and then with style. The rise of these with style videos has been exactly what I've been hoping for we would get. And it's all these people doing insane, like you were saying with Metal Gear Solid 3, just having such mastery of the system and knowing exactly every single thing you can do. You think that fighting Terra or whatever back in the day in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix was like hard. The people who have mastery, they can make him look like a child. It's almost embarrassing to watch the bosses try to fight back against truly masterful players. And there's this one thing they'll do.
Can turn
the with style thing. I just want to say the with style thing they do. The number one thing is that there is a selfie mechanic in Kingdom Hearts 3. And there is nothing more embarrassing for a boss than when they are charging up their super weapon and this player just knows. So they just do a pose with Sora and do a big little making fun of him gesture with his fucking hand and take a fucking selfie while they're charging up their death beam that they know is going to do no damage because they know how to deal with it.
It's performance art. Like the game, the game allows you. The game is a template for you. Essentially, any video game is a canvas for storytelling that you participate in. It's like, how are you gonna contribute to making this story good? Are you going to, if you play like shit the whole game, it's probably going to feel like a shitty story, but if you master it, you can make the story into something very different. And like you were saying, I'm imagining Dark Souls players who will use the emotes extensively, and how fucking funny some of the videos are where, they're doing all this crazy stuff in the game or fucking with other people and then using the emotes, and it allows you to have charisma as a game avatar,
See, that's the kind of review. Like, I want one of those people to make my reviews of my video game. And that's why when I made my first Kingdom Hearts 3 review,
that's why Seth Zenak is the best game reviewer.
That's right. I was so clear on mine. Like, this is the first one. I will get back to you. I'm going to fucking master the DLC so I can be, I've been dreaming of this for years, that I will be the guy, even if other people have done it too, who does the equivalent of, fucking Super Bunny Hops 100% Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm going to be the 100% Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC guy. Just give me 6 months and, I'll be there. It's going to be good.
Voicemails.
It's gonna be good.
Wait, shut up.
Wait, before we go to voicemails, I have to talk.
What's the matter, Ben? You don't like video games? I want to talk about politics.
I'm super bored. Yes, I am super bored by this.
Well,
That's
I have
true.
to call. I have to have a discussion. I got to reconvene with Ben and Nate, because when this episode comes out, it'll be the end of February, and if you recall, in the beginning of January, we all made a pact about being healthy, fit boys, and I just want to say that since that day, every day, 100% keto, no carbs, down almost 20 pounds. Incredible. How are you guys doing?
That's
nice.
Fantastic.
I have been keto for the last several weeks.
Hell yeah.
I haven't weighed myself, but diet-wise, I'm doing good. I'm on track.
Dope.
Okay, I'll be that agreement was for 1 month, and I definitely failed that month. I'm back. Obviously, it's the end of February now. I have failed. I have failed is the short version.
Okay.
Yeah, just be super clear. But gonna do my best.
I had free pizza thrown in front of me multiple times. I did resist.
That's Will. You know what? I'm glad this exists so that, Tom, you represent the good aspect, like what one could aspire to be. Well done. I am probably the worst.
The guy
I
who's
gained
getting
a couple
really
pounds
good at
while I was
Kingdom
away.
Hearts instead.
Instead, I was really good at Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, that's right. I didn't even do that. I was just on vacation doing nothing. Ooh, what a waste.
We all have our strengths and weaknesses, I suppose.
I mean,
Tom,
I haven't picked up lifting again, which I wanted to do, but I didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's just
I
just
will
the
make a
diet
vow.
I suck
I'll go
to.
today. People listening, be inspired. Even if you're in the hole, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna go to work, a gym.
It's never too
today.
late.
I'll go there. That's right. That's right. We got, by the way, like 11 days till Radcon 3, so we better get Beachbody ready real fast.
Carrying
It's
through to
impossible to
Radcon
do
3
that.
or Radcon 4. After that,
Hey, you could lose 10 pounds easy
It's
in
not
11
about
days
10.
if you.
It's not about 10 pounds. It's that I have body hair and it looks bad.
You could shave it. That's
I don't
a
want
doable
to shave
thing.
my
Take
whole
an hour.
body. It's weird.
Why not? Literally, why not? That's what people do.
Yeah.
Is it gay? Is it too gay for
what's
you, Gib?
weirder,
Is that
Gib,
the
having
issue?
the body hair or shaving? That's the question.
Yeah, I
you
think
have.
Both are
shaving- I
gay.
think
It's
shaving's a
both
little
of those
weird.
things are gay.
Yeah, he's right.
The problem
There's
is
no getting around the
Radcon
male
4
body
is
is
going to
gay
be gay
question.
no matter what we do. So it's
Yeah.
just a matter of how you want
That's
to present
Everything we
your
do
gay.
Alright.
is gay.
Yeah. That's fair.
Although, actually, you know what? I think I mentioned a long time ago, I have a fitness wall around here somewhere, or like I've got like a chart. Digi saw this when he came to visit. All my fitness goals. One of them has long been, for like the 5 years I've had that chart, shave your entire body from the neck down. Maybe Radcon 3 is the inspiration.
Radcon
Radcon
3 is
that?
dead. Radcon
Yeah, why
4.
is
I mean,
that a
okay.
fitness goal?
Because bodybuilders do it. A lot of them are just like funny, like be like a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
kind
and you
of
want to
things,
be
know?
funny. Yeah, I see.
It's a joke, but
Wait.
I'm laughing.
Before we go to voicemails, I did want to say one last thing about video games.
Sure.
Talking about like the whole with style thing. I feel like I come on like a different, like if there's two sides to this coin. One is the Devil May Cry, play the game over and over again to get mastery of it, and the thing I like, which is more to play a game. Well, what I would consider Devil May Cry side would be like arcade. Like part of the fun is performing well in front of other people in the arcade, looking at you being the cool kid playing the video game, and the other side is just living and in a video game world and just having autonomy and doing things and existing. I don't really feel the need to perform well, and so when a game is like you have to be incredibly good, otherwise it sucks. As in, with the case of Kingdom Hearts, if it's like you're playing it casually,
Well, you can play on easy, but
it's not on easy. It's just boring. And you have to
Agreed,
to play on the
agreed.
harder difficulties for it to be fun.
Oh,
which is
right.
why I
the
didn't
game
like
is
it that
only
much.
good, I would argue, at high level of play
Yeah.
when you're okay.
So like when the baseline enjoyment is the arcade thing, I don't really gravitate towards it. But something like Minecraft or World of Warcraft, where it's just you just can escape from the world and play a game and be a game character doing something. I mean, Dark Souls I would consider this as well, because you don't need to necessarily be very good. You can put loads of points into like the OP thing and just run around and be powerful.
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned that with Dark Souls because of the fact that like if you know how to make it easy, then Dark Souls can be a game where you run around like or if you're good. Because
one of the main reasons to play Dark Souls is kind of as a horror game, which obviously the more you master it, the less you get out of that. So
I was explaining to May the other day that like the funny thing about Dark Souls is that people are always talking about giving it an easy mode or whatever, but the reality is that the
so
game
easy.
is too easy. Yeah, like there's no way to make it hard. You have to make it hard by your own volition. You have to do things to yourself to make the game harder. There is no hard mode. New Game Plus is not significantly harder, and it only becomes harder, for a certain amount of time. So it's like, I think that what makes Dark Souls so fascinating is that it can be both of those games at once. That it both is a game where you can just hang out in the world and do whatever, and it's also a game where you can do the most crazy, flamboyant, challenge run, and like a game like Devil May Cry only has one of those two aspects, really. Like when I watch people play Devil May Cry 5, it's obvious to me that like a huge part of the appeal to people who love the game is how complex the battle system or the abilities you have are, and how much shit you can do. And like for me, it's like I appreciate that at high level play, you'll be forced to do all those things, and therefore the game does kind of require you to get good for the game to be good, but you can play it on normal. You can just spam the same attack over and over again. The game's just not nearly as good, and it's still good. I mean, I like all the Devil May Cry games, even though I've mostly just kind of played them in a boring way, I guess. Or Bayonetta, for a better example. I got a stone statue on almost every mission. Still beat the game in like 8 hours. It's not like the only thing that makes the game super hard is trying to do well. But that's also the for me, Bayonetta is like an 8 out of 10 game. I completely understand why it would be a 10 out of 10 to somebody who does want to engage at those systems, But like Dark Souls can be a 10 out of 10 for me without being any good at it. In fact, Dark Souls was a 10 out of 10 for me before I even fucking played the game.
Remember back in the days when Digi hadn't played Dark Souls?
I know,
remember
dude.
that whole saga? I remember that. It was a good time. I enjoyed it.
All right, let's go to the voicemails.
Voicemails? Okay, all right. Everyone, the link is down below in the description to the SpeakPipe link. Leave voicemails, make them good, etc., etc. Okay, where is our first one? Right. Okay, wait, sorry, I gotta click on the actual one here. Right, okay, the first one is from... this is from a filthy Radcon 4 parasite. I think this is from a particular time and place in history. Let's see what he's got to say for himself. Okay, and go.
Oh my God, you guys, I'm so excited. Radcon 4, $30,000. It's real. It's real. It's happening. It's OVAOP. Dojin, maybe? Like 2 minutes left. Ah!
Remember when we had only earned $30,000 for Radcon? God,
I feel so bad for anyone that wasn't
poorhouse.
watching one of our streams live when we
It was extremely hype.
Yeah, it was
a
so
great time.
We were all just like streaming each other's streams.
Yeah, that's right. This guy left a second one after we hit 33,000, but it was pretty much just the same thing. Going, 33.
I think I
you
get the idea.
Oh, so
How did
that
we
was
forget
during
to
the time.
discuss that on this episode?
Somehow
days ago I thought that would be the
right.
entire episode. But
shit, you're right.
It's been a few days and now it's boring. Now it's lame.
It's boring now.
No,
yeah.
now I'm just back to being mad that YouTube hasn't given the channels back yet.
Sure. Human happiness is a fleeting thing.
Well, if you want to see the
to
biggest
our
cum you've ever
1%
seen in your
lifestyle.
life, go watch one of the recordings of the live stream.
If people want, I tweeted one out on my Twitter. It's because I private the live streams.
Hippos would have been the one that went the longest. So if you want the entire thing, you'd go to him. But
yes, but I read my chat the most in mine.
Well,
so
your
that's
chat
true.
was read in my stream because you were on my stream as well.
But everyone else could hear me saying
nobody's chat
it,
was
so.
read more than Nate's by me.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, I mean, shit. What is there anything else? I mean, we funded. What did we fund on that stream? We earned over $1,111.
We earned
more than that.
We earned like the Kickstarter ran until noon that day. Between midnight and noon, we earned like $12,000. So we earned like $1,000 an hour that whole day, and like 10,000 of it was in the last couple hours. Yeah, when we were streaming.
Those last 2 hours were a thing for sure.
Can we put the graph showing the spike?
Yeah. In the
Yes.
show notes, we'll link the tweet with the chart. Okay. Yeah. I'll get it right after this. Okay.
But
Well.
we
and
got,
what did we find?
We got over the 222222, which I don't even remember what that was. Because we weren't
What was
sure.
that?
At the start, we were trying to get Gino.
No, Gino was 25.
Gino was 25.
Gino was 25.
Well,
I don't remember.
We had already hit the 22222 by the time we started the live stream then, because I think we
That's
started
right,
off
we had.
trying to get Gino.
There was an
And then,
animated.
We got him. He's confirmed.
There's an animated OP. There's a Dojin to go along with the OVA.
But
I suppose.
we missed the ultimate stretch goal of Digi making a funny face on Twitter.
Yeah,
by less than $1,000.
Which
So
means
cool.
we're gonna have to fucking blur out his face in every recording.
And whenever Digi makes a funny
blur it.
face in the OVA, we should censor it saying like,
he might accidentally make a
unlock
funny
this,
face, and
you
you
know?
didn't pay for it, so you can't have it.
Yeah,
That's right.
Digi's not
That's how it's
allowed
gotta
to
be.
make funny faces.
How will
now.
we know if I'm making a funny face or not?
Well,
We'll
your face.
know.
We'll post
You'll
it
know
on
it when you
Twitter and
see it.
ask
My-
people, "Hey,
my
rate
point-
these faces," and then we'll blur out the funniest one.
Digi, your face is always funny, so we
what I
just
was
can't
saying.
show it at
Yeah.
all.
That makes sense.
All right, next voicemail.
We funded all kinds of great stuff. It's going to be incredible. And just FYI, when you hear this, literally, when you hear the next one, 1 week from now, that is the start of Radcon. 1 week from when you are hearing this.
Jesus
7 days from
It
today.
will be real. I should probably start
have-
working on my fucking.
I don't feel
figure
right
out-
lecture
at
and
all.
whatnot.
I
Yeah,
just feel
yeah,
upset.
we all should.
I have to figure out what I'm going to lecture about because I don't have enough time to do the research for the other ideas I had.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
lecture
well,
on
we got
funny
lots to do.
faces.
Good idea.
It would
Funny
just be
faces
me
through
making
history.
faces for a straight hour, and I'm okay with that.
All right, next voicemail. This is from 21 means I am immortal. Okay, and go.
Hey PCP, it's gonna be my birthday today before you're listening to this. So it's gonna be my 21 birthday, and I just really want to get smashed. So what should I do, and how should I do it? Thanks.
What do you think?
Well, you get
What should
smashed
he do?
by
Straight-
drinking alcohol.
Straight vodka shots. It's the cheapest way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Why
Go
spend
to your-
money on
Go to
extra
your local
fluid?
game store, sign up for the Smash tournament, get good with your main.
smashed. Ooh. Oh God, no! All right,
I don't know,
let's
I have nothing
go
but
on to the
simple,
next one.
straightforward,
Just
practical
jump
advice
into a
for
river.
you.
Just end it all. That's what I would do.
Although, do you think he meant like maybe he said before you hear this, I'm gonna turn 21. Maybe he meant like before, like not even on the day that we're playing this, but like some period beforehand. Maybe he's like already 21.
That's what
by
I
the time
assumed,
we're recording
which is
this.
why I was confused by the question.
Beer before liquor, never been sicker. Drink.
Yeah.
Take shots
Sage
first
advice.
and then switch to beer. That's what you do.
Have sex. Okay,
A nice,
let's move
comfortable
on. That's
descent
my recommendation.
into oblivion.
Rent a car. Okay, let's go
Rent a
on.
car
Here's our next
and
one.
drive while
And drive it
drunk.
off a bridge. That's it'll be a birthday to remember.
Rent a car, get
okay.
drunk, drive drunk, kill yourself.
All right, we've got another voicemail from Tarbuck Transom, everyone's favorite beltsmith on the go. That is Tarbuck Transom,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's him? Yeah, okay, good. Let's hear what he has to say. All right, take it away, go.
All right, leggies and
Oh my
gentlethins,
God.
enough of this
Oh.
waiting around. It's time for coordinated action. The slow burn method isn't working to get the channels back. We all know YouTube only responds to bulk pressure. If you can hear the sound of my voice, you are compelled by justice to message YouTube on Twitter next Thursday. If you are truly a blessed knight like me, you'll be doing it every 6 hours. By the time they record the next podcast, they should have the channel back safe and sound. You know your mission. Get at it, boys.
I'm
We
going
do
to
need
add to that.
save the PCP.
Email the YouTube support, and in addition to the tweets, because
Sure,
in my
yeah.
experiences, mass email gets people's attention the most because it feels really serious and scary.
The
to
mass
them.
tweets, they hit the whoever like that PR HR person is who's managing that Twitter account.
We've been helped
but
on
nobody
Twitter.
else.
It just hasn't helped. So it's like we gotta
Yeah.
come
Yeah, they
closer
said
to
on
the source.
Twitter. On Twitter, they said, like, we're ready to restore the channel. Like, you just need to do this.
Yeah.
And then, Nate, you went and you did the things to
It's
be ready.
it's,
And
it's
then they just
almost
didn't
like
do it.
it's almost like every time we raise a stink, they try to get us to stop by telling us that they're doing something about it, and then they don't do anything about it. Ergo,
Although, hey, if
we
you
need
want
to
a
just
real-
consistently be raising a stink, I guess.
Yeah.
Here's a live update. Okay, this was like this morning, and I need to reply to it. I think we got one more update. Let me see what this was.
We weirdly got like access to the Cantent like email address back, but not the channel or something, right?
Wait,
okay.
Didn't you not lose the email address? Like, didn't they just go into the email and transfer the channel to another email?
Yeah, that's not exactly correct, as Digi said. Like, they said something about how they've detected, like, spam, like, videos are being posted, or, like, they know it's not us, and they can see it was hacked. And they said, like, they were going to give back the Google account. Okay, so, like, things are wrong. We have the Google account. There is so much confusion by dealing with it. They obviously do not
It's
know
so
the
bizarre.
specific issue.
If you log into the Cantent Google account, there are
Yeah.
two like listings of it, like as though there were, both the channel and the non-channel version of the email. Anybody who has a YouTube account probably knows what I'm talking about, but or a YouTube channel. But the thing is, they both say no videos. Neither one is the content channel. So you can sign into two different versions of content and not have access to the channel. And I'm like, well, what? How do I get into the channel? Like, who has it? Where's the
I can
door?
tell what that second channel is. Because here's the way they restore it. They ask you to make a new brand account, which is different from like a user account. It's, it's like one asks for like first and last name. This is just the account name of like content or whatever. And then like once you make a new brand account on whatever Google account you say, and then you give them that link, they will like port the channel to that brand account that you have created. They'll like stick everything on top
I'm
of
waiting
that.
for it.
That will become. I know. Yeah. I gave them all the information. I don't know what the fuck they're waiting for. But by the way, just here's a little update. I'm going to respond to this after we're done here. But it said like, so the team responded, they have confirmed that the PCP was hijacked on January 23rd. Okay, do you hear that? They have confirmed they're hijacked. After
Literally
this happened, they remember how they were streaming today on the fucking PCP channel after the team confirmed they were fucking hacked? Why haven't you stopped them from doing shit if you know it was hacked? I think they might be hacks over at the YouTube support. I don't understand. Okay, anyway, I'm going to touch base with those people. But hey, I don't see any reason not to spam them with emails. What's the harm?
Emails
we'll let you know
would
when we've got
probably
it back.
do a lot of good, honestly.
Be respectful, people.
And
there will be multiple,
I would encourage you to
employees
list all the
emails.
channels. I think, Nate, you have all the channels listed in your Twitter bio, right?
I do.
Content, Podcast, TBAP, and so on. There's like 7 of them or something that we haven't gotten back yet.
It seems to me like we're close to getting the PCP back, but I said that first like a week ago, so slightly concerning.
They won't give them back until we harass them into doing it, and they get sick of it. And they won't give us. They'll just give us back one channel at a time. We're just gonna have to keep harassing them until we get every channel. Like we're gonna have to do the same thing for every single one.
Yep.
And so let's just commit to doing that.
Works for me.
Also,
I'm in there. So as Tarbuck said, Thursday, you hear this.
I retweet on the TP Crastinators channel. I retweet everyone that posts hashtag Save the PCP with that @ Team YouTube. I would encourage everyone to tweet hashtag Save the PCP with all list all the channels that we want back. And then at the YouTube, and then go in and like everyone else's tweets, so they're just getting like a flood of notifications.
Sure, yeah.
God, I hope we have the channel back before the Thursday he's talking about, because that would be
me
a long time from now.
Don't wait till Thursday. Just do it all the time.
Yeah, no need to wait.
Whenever you feel like it. Anytime's a good time to email and like and message and make an @ the fucking Team YouTube. Mm-hmm. We want PCP back in particular. It's urgent, but we want all of them back, and I won't take no for an answer.
Yeah. Nate, how many more voicemails we got?
2. There are 2 more.
Excellent.
All right, here's one. This one's just called Sweet. Listen up. Here we go.
Ooh, yeah, that was scrumdiddlyumptious, I have to say. But much to my chagrin, when I went to the Washington Monument, I did not see a speck of bread or garlic in sight.
No.
But, it's hard to stay mad when you're enjoying a nice, a juicy, a sweet, a grapefruit with loaves of bread. Loaves with Loafs. Nate, look, I know you're a big Trump supporter and all, but that doesn't mean you have to be a Nazi, especially about grammar. But I know that's some low-hanging fruit. But I will not leave you guys alone. I'll be coming through your windows and snatching your grapefruits up. But I'm going to leave on a bit of a positive note. Here's a picture that you may find a little appealing.
You monster! He's pouring sweet and low directly onto the grapefruit.
Voice jail. Voice jail
straight
right
to
now.
voice jail. What was this guy's name? Okay, whatever. We'll look it up on fucking DeviantArt. It's Quandary Poser. So
look at that,
link to
fucking
his
splatter on the ground there.
It's
That's
absolutely
gruesome.
horrendous.
He's gonna
as a matter of fact,
eat that off the asphalt.
But before this, I couldn't get into the DeviantArt. Like, I saw this linked on the thing, and I tried to click on it. It was literally locked because it said, like, contains adult content, this image. So I had to log in to fucking, like, the TBAP DeviantArt from back in the day, because that's the only one I knew how to get into. And, anyway, Quandary Poser, you are a fucking monster for a number of reasons.
By the way,
I
just realized not only did we forget to talk about our extreme success with our thing, but we also forgot to talk about the fact this is episode.
Oh, no,
it's not. This isn't episode 201. This is 201.
Yeah, this is episode 201, as everybody knows.
Is on reserve.
It's on reserve. What is that?
Bleep that.
Put it on hold.
Bleep all this. Bleep all this.
We can't.
No, just
this isn't.
We can bleep just the number, nothing else.
Sure.
Then bleep that. Bleep it all. Bleep this. Everything we're all saying. I want a solid minute of bleeping.
What's our
please.
Position then on what this episode is canonically?
This is 201, obviously.
Okay, so we're not coming out at you live from the future. This is it's just 200. Okay, great, got it. All right, so that's that. Moving on. Okay, right. We have one last message, one last fucking voicemail. Okay, here's the thing. This one is very long, and we can cut it off any time. But what it is that one Dune-kun made a PCP, something like a Radcon fan fiction, and then he converted it to audio, and we have it here. It's like 4 minutes long. Anytime we can cut it off any time, but let's just listen to a snippet of it, and if we like it, we can listen to the whole thing. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, here we go, and take it away, Dune-kun. Impress me. Go.
You're listening to an abridged version of Radcon, the Untold Story by Dune-kun. Digibro was sitting in front of his work computer, desperately trying to thrust his uncircumcised 7-inch penis in between the thighs of his Shinobu Oshino anime figurine when the knock came at his door.
At least
he'd almost managed it when a second knock rang out, breaking his deep concentration. What the? Who the fuck is here? Digi asked Shinobu. He rose from his cum-stained office chair and hobbled towards the front door, peeping through the peephole and readying his 3D printed gun, which was a Dick Show Patreon reward. Through that, he saw his fellow content creator Nate Bestman and opened up. What's up, nigga? Nate greeted as he approached. They all laughed because saying the N-word is funny. Just getting some work done on hashtag Kusomega, Digi answered. It wasn't a lie. He had spent the morning trying to figure out how to fit more of his fetishes into the story. Maybe I can make Shinobu like some fairy thing, like Yui from Sword Art Online. Then I could fuck an even smaller version of her. I mean, Takuma could fuck an even smaller version of her. Yeah, that's what I meant. With that out of the way, and all pleasantries exhausted, the boys were left with no obvious direction to steer the conversation. They stood in silence, eyeing each other up. Digibro's overwhelming fatness was rapidly escaping from his clothing. His oily hair clung to his equally oily skin like he was rubbed down by a Japanese prostitute. But even with his physical abnormalities, there was something about Digi that Nate just found irresistible. It wasn't his uncircumcised 7-inch penis. It was his uncircumcised 7-inch brain. Nate had always admired how Digi managed to make money despite his particular brand of autism. It was nothing more than a professional appreciation, Nate had insisted. Nothing more. I'm gay, Digi finally spoke. Nate recorded Chuck before remembering that I'm gay was one of Digi's personal memes.
Accurate dialogue.
I try not to hold it against you, Nate replied, attempting to start some friendly banter, but it was for naught. Digi had become painfully aware that he was not currently ingesting drugs and sought to remedy this as soon as possible. Without another word, Digi marched back to his work desk and started up his water-cooled desktop tower, which also functioned as a bong. He took a long hit and invited Nate to come sit next to him. You want some of this? Digi asked politely. Nate was hesitant to partake in Digibro's debauchery, but the long and uncomfortable flight had left his body and mind withered. It felt like he had just gotten hit by the Wither in Minecraft and was now receiving damage from being withered like in the video game, Minecraft. So he followed Digi's example and did the weed. It took effect immediately. Nate was no stranger to weed, but he should have known that Digibro's personal tolerance would have been multiple times higher than his own. Pretty strong, right? I bought it off the deep web, Digi explained. And by that I mean I bought it from a black guy. That does explain everything, Nate thought. Never having actually met a black person, Nate was having trouble focusing on the computer screen. It was consistently blocked by Digi exhaling fat clouds of smoke. And after a few more rips for himself, Nate's throat had become dry. I'm gonna go grab a drink, Nate announced, rising from his seat. Do you have any off-brand LaCroix? Digibro never got the opportunity to answer, because once Nate stopped using his chair as a support, he fell face forward right into his friend. And in their intoxicated states, Neither of them were able to grasp what had exactly happened. If they were sober, both of them would have noticed Nate's hand grasping Digibro's uncircumcised 7-inch penis through his
Brain.
Dr. Pepper
Oh,
pajama pants immediately. As things were, it took Nate a good 30 seconds. And even after that, his brain failed to process the next reasonable course of action. Digibro, who tried to have his uncircumcised 7-inch penis touched at all times, made no attempts to push Nate off. It was like that one scene in Evangelion, except dumber
7
and
inches.
gay. You're a big guy, Nate noted. For you, Digi answered.
Lol.
If you'd like to read the full unabridged version,
There you go.
click the link in the description.
Link in the description.
Damn.
Bros.
Well, there's a link not only to the text version of that, but the entire story, of which that's just an excerpt that I have not read the end of, so I don't
need
know
to
where
know
it
the
goes from
dramatic
there.
conclusion.
The music
that was
bed
well done.
was
Yeah.
my favorite part for sure.
Yeah. That's production value. That's quality.
No doubt. He put work, actually,
This-
yes, yesterday on the stream, he was like, Nate, why won't you read my fan fiction? And I just said, bro, convert it to a voicemail, and then if it's good, I'll play it. And that's what he did.
I'm
That's what he
thinking
did.
voice grail.
Voice grill for Dune-kun. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you
I'm
think?
for it.
Maybe if the story continues and to be entertaining, then
I mean, to be fair, there's a complete, something about ISIS shows up.
I mean,
okay.
it's
Oh,
voice
that
grail.
puts it over
It's-
the edge.
It's voice grail, not fic grail. The voicemail was good. What was presented
voicemail
was
was
worthy.
good.
ISIS already shows up in my story in the Road to Radcon 4.
Well, maybe that's why. Maybe it's continuity.
Yeah, it could be.
Hey, you know what? I'm for it. I say voice grail.
Voice
It was great
grail.
production value.
Dune
I want other
Kun.
people
You
to
have
be incentivized.
still not listened to the rest of the Road to Radcon 4, Nate. You gotta listen.
I haven't. I just haven't gotten around
You
to
gotta
it.
I
I
don't
listen
want
gotta
to
to
listen
our
to it.
epic-
I want to live it.
Gotta listen to our epic face-off against ISIS, which Munchie becomes leader of immediately.
You're selling me on that, too.
I'm gonna
Okay.
listen to that very soon.
Indeed. Okay.
I'll post a full review. I probably won't.
Please.
Chapter
I'll make an
five.
analysis video about it.
Wait till
not done
part
yet,
5
though,
is
yeah.
out before you
Right.
write a comprehensive analysis.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's it for the voicemails, everybody. Quality stuff here. By the way, I think I just have forgotten to update the voice grail in jail for the last month. So if
you
anyone
should.
wants to just at me on Twitter, reminding me who I've forgotten, that'd be
Is that a
that'd be much
thing that
appreciated.
is been keeping track of?
Yeah, there's a Word document. That gets,
I thought we
that's
just say
around.
it randomly because wherever the moment takes us.
I knew there was
mean,
a Word doc, but is
fair.
it publicly visible anywhere?
I think it's in the description of every video. I'm pretty sure.
Well, what do
just
you know?
down there somewhere. In any case, I'll go look for it and update it with
That tells you how
Dune-kun.
seriously we
Congrats.
take the voice grail / jail
Yeah,
system.
yeah. The real value is the us saying that you're in it. That goes further. Okay, anyway, we're done. If you want to leave a voicemail, click the SpeakPipe link down in the description. By the way, lol, I got another email from SpeakPipe, and they were like, please, procrastinators, you're over your account limit. Please, we're not going to let you do any more. And then multiple more voicemails keep coming in. What a bunch of simps! Just cut us off, you pussies.
They're-
I'm not going to delete them
They're
until you
definitely
make me.
they don't work like WebNode, the site where I built my website, where I had gone over the I went over the bandwidth limit pretty quickly, and for
Yeah.
a few days I was just dancing around. It doesn't even seem to matter.
yep.
And then the entire website disappeared, and I had to email support in order to get it back, promising that I would pay. So,
Lol.
I
That
did.
could happen to us with SpeakPipe, but lol, fuck it. I'm sure we'll be fine.
Just make another one.
We'll just make another one. Yeah, what are they going to do? All right, well, that's it. Okay, so patreon.com /theprocrastinators. Support the show. $5 for bonus episodes. $1 for the patron Discord. Radcon 4 is now... The Kickstarter is over anyway, so all that shit's locked in. There will be a public meetup. More details coming about that, which is going to be on March 3rd. And Radcon starts in 1 week. 1 week when you're hearing this.
Wait, March 3rd?
Jesus Christ.
What
The
date
meetup-
does-
oh,
what
sorry,
date
March
does
14th.
Radcon start?
14th. It starts March 6th. March 6th.
The meetup
Fuck,
is on the
that's
15th.
A lot closer than I thought. For some reason, I convinced
No.
myself it started on the 13th. So
Incorrect.
Or,
It's the 14th.
Not, sorry, it's
Saturday.
Not, right, yeah, the 14th. That's right, the Saturday.
Yeah, okay. And that's that. And it's going to be good and all kinds of good stuff coming to you. By the way, if you're a patron, you know what? Now I guess maybe this might already be old news, but we need people to respond to the backer rewards, especially if you're a $200 or up guy, so that Ben can get your art in the poster. So if you're hearing this, you
Yes.
might have 1 or
God,
2 days
shit,
left.
Fuck, I have to do that.
You have to
You
do
do
that.
have to do it.
Okay.
Yes,
All
correct.
right. Yeah,
by the way, there's
get
like
your fucking character or whatever in. Get your face in. I gotta add it.
There's something like 30 people who have responded already, and that's out of a total of 47 people. So that's
fine.
most already. So that's good. And so there's like 47 people, then 6 Radcon boys and Vic, and of course Gino, other members. So it's
And
like
Gino.
56 or something. I don't know.
Gino taking up 60% of the entire
screen. Yeah. How fun. And I guess that's it. Oh, follow us. Updates. We'll get the channel back sometime. Everything important is happening on the Twitter at TP Crastinators. So watch that for updates. It's where you'll want to know. Anything important happens, that's where it'll be. And that's it. Leave more voicemails, etc.,
If you're
etc.
ever
Show next week.
confused about what channel the new episode's on, they're always on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify.
There you go.
Those
That's
are
right.
still available.
You won't go wrong if you just follow that business. So there you go. All right. We'll see you next week, everybody. 1 week from when you hear this till Radcon, a new episode will come out that day on that like 2 p.m. But like hours after you hear the next Radcon, like we will be there and it'll start. So won't that be exciting for all of us? All right.
Hell
That's
yeah.
it.
All right,
See you soon,
everyone.
everybody.
Vote Bernie because I can't. That's my log off message
There
for
you go.
today.
All right, everybody. See you soon. Bye.